Player acquisition, 365, right? So Chidobe Awuzie is gone. Everybody knows that, hey, he was one of those guys that he was always close to the ball, but never really got his head around to the ball. It was just crazy. The Cowboys primarily used him as an outside corner, never really put him inside the slot, nor played him at safety. But, hey, everything must come to an end eventually, right? So my thing is, my thoughts on Chidobe Awuzie, the level of continuity, consistency, and this thing, what we call rapport. The Dallas Cowboys now are going into 2021. For right now, things could be subject to change without an outside corner with experience. Diggs, he got 1 year. Yes, that was cool. But I don't know what they're going to do as far as their plan of operations on the opposite side. They're going to have to look into this thing and say, all right, even if they go into the draft aspect of it, right, and bring in another young corner, there still will be growing pains regardless of who you go out there and draft. There still will be growing pains. So in order for the Cowboys to make the proper decision, they still have to get into this free agency, spend a little money, and pull back maybe some veteran skills out there so that they can at least, at minimum, be a bridge guy to help train whoever you go out there in the draft to go pull up on your team. Because the one thing that you don't want, remember, the season is long, long, long. 17 weeks, baby. And it's a long one, and you never know how the translations from the draft aspect to the pros, or from the college level to the pros. It's a major gap within that, and the Cowboys must figure that part out, regardless of how we look at it. Remember, this is a zero excuse type of business. It is. So, shout out to Chidobe Awuzie. I don't know how much money the Cincinnati Bengals, I believe he going to, offered him or he's going to get from that organization. But the only reason why I said in my Instagram and Twitter, as well as some of my other posts, that this stings a little because you can see some of the potentials in him. You know, he got a lot of that. But I believe in the hearts of hearts, he was probably burned out of being here in Dallas. So, hey, they gave him an offer. He didn't even give a chance to say, hey, can I pack my bags up a little slower to see if the Cowboys would give a counter offer? Because I'm a free agent at this point. Or he could have just said, whatever my agent is pretty much deciding here, I'm rolling with it. And it is what it is at this point. This is business, right? This is business. So Cowboy Nation, now when we look at it, I believe in the hearts of hearts. Dig is a dog. He's a big dog. You know what I'm saying? And I like the fact that my dog, Donovan Wilson, he can do some things as relates to the secondary. And I love those two kids' mindset, mentality, and things like that, playing through the echoes of the whistle. But we got to look at it like, okay, you got to put pieces around them in order for those guys to continue to grow. You don't want them to be the end-all, be-all. And what does this mean for Xavier Woods, Jourdan Lewis, right? All of those things right there. Are you going to keep Xavier Woods, right? And say, okay, it was just a situation that you try to bring in a different style of philosophy of defense, and he just wasn't ready to have that type of, I guess, food on his plate. Or do you say, hey, man, Xavier Woods, man, hey, we know that, hey, you came out and you said you can't give 100% of the time for 100% of the situations, whatever it was. This team is interested in you, and we really don't have room for you here. There's going to be a lot of stuff to think about. And, of course, Jourdan Lewis, do you kick him as the outside corner? Do you bring him back? Do you say, okay, Jourdan, we want to have you out here for these type of reasonings? There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff can be put into place right here, Cowboy Nation. So that's why I'm looking at it like, man, in this draft, we got to really make sure we make the right decisions. But before we get into it, you got to make sure You got to make sure that you have that veteran presence. Everybody who's been following this page, you already know a new broom can sweep the floor good, but that old broom can get those corners. And we need that bridge guy, regardless of the situation, whether it be whoever out there. But they can't be, I guess, a person that's trying to rehabilitate themselves and say, okay, I'm coming to the Cowboys to grab a little money. No, they got to be hungry, though. They got to be coming out this thing saying, man, I'm starving, and I'm going to showcase to the world that I belong here. And Dallas Cowboys, I can see where the old coaching staff is coming from, and I can see where the general manager and Jerry Wine Jones is coming from. This defense last year was historically bad, and all of these players on the defense, hey, casualty in war, let's get rid of these guys or get rid of some of the guys that got expiring contracts. I feel them on that. But you better be careful with that. That's all I'm saying with that. Cowboy Nation, they're going to have to look into this thing and figure this part out. Veteran presence will help. Drafting right as well will help. But you got to formulate a plan. Remember this, those who fail to plan to fail, right? So you, Cowboy Nation, going to have to plan this thing all the way out. For real, for real. They're going to have to look into this thing and say, okay, all right, we know we're going to bring back Maurice Candidate, right? He's one of the guys that opted out last year. We didn't get a good chance and opportunity to really probe out some things. Oh, we got a Reggie Robinson, who, quote unquote, basically, is one of my dark horses. I love the skill set. He pretty much redshirted last year because he didn't really have a lot of plays out there, right? So either Reggie Robinson is on top of his game and they looking at it and the coaching staff is saying, man, we can get him. We can get him to be better than Chidobe Awuzie. Oh, yeah, we can get him to be that. We'll find out because there's no evidence. There's not a lot of tape on the brother from last year. And that's why the snaps are so important. That's why I scratch my head many of times, even when we talking about the front. When you don't get these young players involved into the game and you kind of like put them on the bench and be a healthy scratch. Remember that with even Tristan Hill? We were sitting there saying like, hey, why, oh, why you giving all of these snaps and reps away for a player that may not be on this team? Remember that? But then they eventually put Tristan Hill in when it was too late. And then last year he showed some promise and then he got injured, right? So we still don't even know what Tristan Hill is about, right? So back to the cornerback situation. Here's my only gripe. Yes, we're going to probably get compensatory picks from, especially if he go to Cincinnati land and improve and do a whole bunch of stuff over there, we get a high compensatory pick. But my thing is, Cowboy Nation, we did draft, right? Chidobe Awuzie in the second round, right? Was he a second rounder or a third round? Y'all help me out. I think he was a second rounder. And we got nothing in return from it. Expiring contracts. You develop that kid to move him off. That's not the way you operate this game. Cowboy Nation, let me know of your thoughts. Let me know how you guys feel. Or are we going to finally wheel and deal? Are we going to bring in some veteran talent? We should, because at this point, I don't believe that a rookie will have that type of knowledge and understanding of the game. I'm just saying, year one, it will be some growing pains. So either we're going to be putting up some money on the board, or we're going to be looking at the board and saying, man, we historically bad again. Come on, Dan Quinn. Make this thing happen. That's been my time. I really thank you all for yours. And remember, you're listening to nothing but the best. Salute. We out. Peace.